You may have heard of the Tuttle Twins books recently, and today I'm going to share my thoughts on this book series. Hi, I'm Jenny with Kids Learning for Life, and I am by no means an expert in the field of government and economics, particularly because I grew up going to public school, and public school does not even begin to touch these subjects really at all. Additionally, even in the homeschool world, I feel like a lot of these curriculums about government and economics can be really boring and stale and really not be very interesting or fun to use. Luckily, we have the Tuttle Twins books to turn to. Funny story, these books are basically my husband's only contribution to our homeschool. He actually bought them online a couple years ago because he had heard about them from various sources and he thought it would be a cool thing for us to have. So I did not seek out any curriculum for teaching government and economics, but I sure am glad that he bought them. Also, these board books were actually a Christmas gift for my toddler from her Aunt Stacey. You might have heard of her. So getting into what the Tuttle Twins books are, because I think there's a lot of information out there. Some of it's true, some of it's not. So let's dive into what these books are. So the original Tuttle Twins book series is this one here for children, and these books center around the Tuttle Twins, who are Ethan and Emily. Ethan and Emily go on all sorts of adventures and learn lessons on how the government and economics works. These books are all pretty short. Not very long at all, and I've even finished entire Tuttle Twins books in one sitting with my kids. You don't need to read them in any particular order, so something kind of fun that we do is sometimes I just kind of let my kids go pick one randomly and we'll sit down and read it together, and it doesn't really matter which one they do, they're all really good. So I want to go more in depth on like one particular book so that you can see what these books really consist of. So the one we actually read most recently is this one, and it's called The Search for Atlas. The Search for Atlas basically asks the question, what happens when hardworking people quit? So Ethan and Emily Tuttle, they get to perform in a circus, and sadly, right before they get to perform, the star performer named Atlas quits. Now, why does he quit, and what are the consequences of the business of running a circus when the star performer quits? Ethan and Emily discovered the answers to these questions in a really immersive way that gets your kids thinking about all sorts of different scenarios. Is Atlas being selfish? Is the circus better off without him? Or is the circus not compensating him fairly for his hard work? The book really doesn't make the answers to these questions very clear at all at first. So it's really fun to read through these with your kids and kind of see what conclusions they come to throughout the book. And that's my favorite thing about this entire series of books, is that they really make you think, which sadly is not something that a lot of curriculums really do. Most curriculums just kind of tell you a fact, and then they expect you to agree and just move on and never question it. The Tuttle Twins series really takes the time to introduce a complex concept. I'm not saying these are easy, they're very complex, and then gives examples and reasons in a way that makes sense to adults and children as to why these different concepts may be beneficial or detrimental. This extra step of using illustrations and examples that children can understand really makes all of the difference. And I want to make it clear, obviously homeschoolers can use these books, but even people who are not homeschooling their children can use and benefit from these books. I just love that these books are designed for a family to read together and discuss together and maybe even inspire you to do further learning. For example, the title of this book, The Search for Atlas, is actually a direct reference to the book Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Is that how you say her name? Is it Ayn Rand or Ayn Rand? The book Atlas Shrugged is massive and tackles many concepts, but one of those is capitalism. So I just love the fact that there is a literary reference right in the title of this book, and that kind of inspires me to do further reading even after finishing these books with my kids. And sure, the Tuttle Twins books are political, but not in the way you might think. They have recently been called out in an article by CNN as indoctrinating children with their right-wing agenda. However, I have never found these books coercive, and they actually come from a more libertarian point of view as opposed to a conservative one. Again, the fact that these books take the time to fully explain these government concepts and why they work and why they don't work is just proof that the author, Connor Boyack, is really trying to challenge and educate kids. I won't go into too much detail about all this, but all I have to say is do your own research, friends. There are multiple products now offered by Tuttle Twins, and I'm really excited that they're broadening these offerings. So they have their original series of 12 books. These are the pretty short ones for kids with a lot of illustrations. And then they also have these toddler board books, which are also really cool. This is the ABCs of the American Revolution, which is, a fun way to do history in your homeschool. And I don't really use this with my toddler. She could kind of care less at this age of 2. But my older girls who are 6 and 8 actually really love these board books. So they are not just for toddlers. In addition to these offerings for younger kids, they are branching out into offering books for teens, which is really exciting. One of them looks really cool. They're called guidebooks, and they're longer, more in-depth, and they're hardback, and they're really beautiful. And then there are also these like choose your own adventure type series as well. So I'm excited to use all of those books with my kids when they get a little bit older. I am a huge fan of this original children's book series. I think it's just a great alternative if you're looking for something that teaches economics and government in a way that is not boring, like a lot of other curriculums are. Be sure to check out Tuttle Twins. I will put a link in the description below. And another great book that I've read recently that is a great way to teach history, since we're on this social studies kick right now, is Our Island Story. So I will be sure to put a link to my video review of it right over here for you to check out. See you next time.